Mr. President, I think there's a real legal question here. I just rise to briefly point out, Mr. President, I think there's a real legal question here as to whether with bond resolutions, which are a special category of legal activity by this body, it requires a 2/3 vote that you can bundle 66, legally bundle 66 items together and force the body to vote on all 66 separate individual bond resolutions by one uniform vote. I think there's a real legal question about that.
Mr. President, through you to the county attorney, is there a legal issue?
Through the President, no, that's not a legal issue. Bond counsel has opined on that several times in the past, and it's fine.
In the absence of a legal issue, then I reiterate my lack of support for Motion 7.
Call the question. You really want to do that?
You want to vote it up or down? You want to vote?
Okay, we'll have a vote on calling the question.
On the motion to sever, we call the question.
I know.
Let's have a vote.
Yes, we will. On the motion to call the question, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now we'll call the question. That's the procedure on that one. All right. On the motion to sever, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Want a roll call vote?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. On the main motion, Mr. Haney.
The three items I have an issue with, Mr. President, are numbers 30, 47, and 48.
Say them again slowly, please.
Sorry.
Paul, can you say them again slowly?
Oh, 30, 47, and 48. I think everyone in the chamber knows what my concerns about these are. So I'm sorry. I have sincere problems with voting for binding resolutions for these three items. Therefore, the first severance motion having failed, I would move to specifically sever 30, 47, and 48 from the uniform vote, so that we may discuss them individually.
Second. 30, 47, and 48. Motion made second to sever items 30, 47, and 48. Discussion.
Mr. President, I likewise do not support the motion to sever in this instance. This is an issue that's been before the legislature and well debate. I understand Mr. Haney's concerns with regards to borrowing for these size projects, but it's an issue that has been debated thoroughly. So, and I don't think that it needs to be revisited. So, if Mr. Haney does not feel comfortable voting for these issues, then we should vote in the negative. But I feel confident that this issue has been more than well vetted in these chambers, and that we can move forward. So I do not support the motion to sever. Again.
Mr. Haney.
I would point out, Mr. President, that since the adoption of the CIP, the lay of the land has changed. Pursuant to the Driscoll-Haney amendment to the budget that was adopted this evening, we now have a $100,000 cash capital appropriation. Either item 47 or 48 can be funded from that cash capital appropriation. And I think the legislature has the right to make that decision as to whether either items 47 or 48 is funded from that new cash capital appropriation that we created this evening.
Mr. Lightfoot.
Yes, Mr. President, through you, Mr. President, I also thought I heard that said from the Republican side of the aisle, Mr. Driscoll, that if Mr. Haney wanted to remove a few of these items and use this new cash capital, $100,000 for maybe to fund a couple of others, that would be an option. I thought I just heard that said. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
My understanding that is an option. We pass the capital project here. The administration has the ability to fund those things out of that fund rather than floating a bond. Just an option they had that the Driscoll Haney provided tonight, so that ability is there. And certainly, I think I would encourage the administration to do it, and I know they're as fiscally responsible as I am, even though my wife and daughter call it cheap.
Further discussion, Mr. Adair.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can someone clarify, is this from the proposal or the actual staff?
Mr. President, the capital budget that is before the legislature right now is in essence the first year of the approved CIP that was unanimously adopted by its body on July 8th.
Further discussion, Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think the real problem is that in past years, several years ago, we were able to review the budget in November and then just the bond resolutions in December, and that was a much more orderly thing. But what I understand where we are now is we've gone from having to consider 73 separate bonding resolutions down to 4. To me, that certainly does not seem to be unreasonable, and I intend to support the motion to sever just the 3 items that Legislator Haney has detailed, and then the remaining as a separate vote.
Further discussion on
We'll
the
vote on the
motion?
motion to sever.
I'm not sure what you just asked.
I asked for a vote on the motion.
Are you calling the vote?
Are you-
Just asking if you vote.
Is there any more discussion? Okay, if not, on the motion to sever, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Motion fails. Back to the main motion. Further discussion on the main motion? Mr. Lightfoot.
Yeah, I just want to say this for the record, because again, the cameras are going down, the bipartisan all of a sudden stop. That's exactly what I was talking about.
Comments
It's
are out.
not what you say, it's what you do. Thank you, Mr. President.
Agreed.
No other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Roll call vote, Mr. President.
There's just one. He's identified himself.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Next item, please.
Item 54, referral 080388.
Mr. President.
Moved by legislator Thomas, second by legislator Barker. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries.
Item 55, referral 080388.
Mr. President.
Moved by legislator Thomas, second by legislator Barker. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries.
Item 56, referral 080384.
Mr. President.
Moved by legislator Thomas, second by legislator Barker. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries.
Item 57, referral 080385.
Mr. President.
Moved by legislator Thomas, second by legislator Barker. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries.
Item 58, 080386.
Mr. President.
Moved by legislator Thomas, second by legislator Barker. Any discussion on the motion? Mr. Haney.
Are we on 58, Mr. President?
58.
58. This being the total tax levy, and the only information we have is that it's $600 million. I'd like some information about what makes up the $600 million, how we get from the levy in the budget we adopted this evening to the $600 million number. In fact, as Legislator O'Brien pointed out, it's one of the problems with the new time cycle. Used to be we adopted the budget in November, and then we got a detailed explanation of these and voted on them in December, but it's all crunched now. Can I have some explanation of how you get from the levy that we adopted this evening? Or I prefer that in writing. Does staff have a written summary of what the tax levy consists of?
To the President, we can provide that in writing to you.
Can we have it before we vote so that we know what we're voting on?